broadcasting, going live on Facebook. Okay, attendees are coming in. Hi, everybody.
Hello, 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 everybody.
Oh my gosh, we're up to 250, 254.
What's
so
up?
Coming in. So it's like everybody's working their way through the breakfast lines. Getting their coffee, getting their Lashur's donuts.
And I'm typing in the chat. And folks, if you could hear the sound of my voice, which I hope you can, type in your name, where you're from. Well, you don't have to type in your name. I guess we see that and it comes up. But where you from? I should have a little music going. Where's my music?
Stacy Jackson says she misses the donuts too, Molly.
Yep, Stacy, we miss them.
Oh my gosh, and we see all of your beautiful faces.
I have one thing. Hold on.
Wow, they're popping in. Yay.
Yep, rolling up.
Hey, is my phone out there? I was trying to get the music. That's all right. You know, maybe I should just go play some on the piano.
I know, you need to just play that beautiful piano behind you.
But I don't have any shorts.
It is early.
That is the difference between live and virtual.
Right, business up.
Here we go, here we go. All right, that's obviously the end of my competency level.
Well done.
Of course you can do that as well.
And we didn't even do that in sound check, right?
That's right.
No, I don't think so.
We'll give everybody a few more minutes to check in before we get started. Are we still have people coming in, it looks like, Molly?
Oh yeah, we're at 300 and we'll be closer to 900 when everybody's gotten all their breakfast stuff and their Lashur's donuts and their coffee. So yeah, people are still rolling in.
Hello, Leah from Brisbane. Oh my God, we got Michelle. We got, she love the shorts. Tacoma, Washington. What's up, Chris? I was just out there. We got Sheila, Fort Collins, Colorado. Oh my God, I would love to be in Colorado right now because here in Atlanta, it's 91 degrees and 98% humidity. Mesa, Arizona. Hey, I was a Tempe cop right next door to Mesa, right out there in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, Molly, yeah.
Yeah, Nigeria just checked in. Woohoo!
Wow, hello, Nigeria. Oh, Bamatola from Nigeria. I see her too. We got Kate from Tucson. Let's see, what are the countries?
Alaska, Puerto Rico.
Alaska.
Half decaf. Love it.
Oh, half decaf. Hello from Chicago. I mean, I wish I had a decaf right now. Yeah. Totally.
Oh, yay. Good morning, Kathy.
Let's see. Oh yeah, EAA, Oshkosh in the house. Noonan, Georgia. I live in Noonan. I'm in Noonan. I live in Serenbe. That is so great. Yuri, what's up? I'm your neighbor. The closest grocery store is, I promise you, it's in Noonan. Okay, that's the Publix and the Kroger. The actual for real closest grocery store is the Piggly Wiggly.
Ah.
Which is actually Bradley's, which is in the show Stranger Things. Yes. So they have t-shirts in the store that say Stranger Things happen here.
Oh, that's
So
great.
much. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'm so jealous.
Let's see. What else? Oh, The Walking Dead is filmed about 25 minutes away from here. Yep. And I've driven through. It's any Walking Dead fans on the chat? I actually bought my house from the guy in the show, Daryl, the guy who has the bow.
Oh no, that's awesome.
I love him so much.
Are you a fan? He
Yeah.
lives here. Oh, I shouldn't say where he lives. Okay. Thousands of
And his
people.
cell
and
phone number, please.
I just like outed the guy.
Right.
Okay.
Address and phone number.
Delete that from the chat. I'm such a bad neighbor.
Great, now he has to move again.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, that's hilarious. You gotta turn on the air conditioning. I'm hot now. All right, you guys just let me know when you're ready and we will go. And I think I want to start off with my question first. Or do I want to do my, no, I got it. So how many folks are we up to now?
We're at 369 and counting, but if you
Yeah,
want, Allison, Carissa, actually, did you have some housekeeping stuff
Sure.
to start with?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome so much. We're happy you could join us to the 25th annual Women in Aviation International Connect Breakfast at Oshkosh. We wish we were there with everybody in person, but so happy that you're all joining us this morning. Just a couple of quick things. We're going to be doing, as a lot of you've already figured out, Q&A and also questions in the chat. So the staff here will be monitoring those questions, and we'll get answers to as many of your questions as possible, although we have a really big crowd this morning, so we'll get through as many as we can. Also, during the event, you're going to see a couple of questions pop up in our chat. And so when you see those, or it's in a polling, so when you see those questions pop up, just go ahead and give us some answers, please. We appreciate that. I'm going to welcome now Allison Mckay, who is the Women in Aviation International new CEO as of the beginning of the year. So Allison, please.
Morning. Thanks, Carissa. I am so excited to introduce our breakfast speaker. Her energy is exactly what we need first thing in the morning when we are hardly caffeinated. And when you hear everything that she has so far accomplished in her short life, it will make you think about how much time you spend sleeping. This is Vernice, FlyGirl Armour. She has a number of firsts under her belt. She was the first Marine Corps African-American female pilot, the first African-American woman on the Nashville Police Department's motorcycle squad. She was a Camp Pendleton Female Athlete of the Year, two-time title holder in their Strongest Warrior competition. Also a running back for the women's professional football team, the San Diego Sunfire, a native of Tennessee, a graduate of Middle Tennessee State University, and she holds 2 honorary doctorates. In addition to all that, of course, she's also an author. Her first book, Zero to Breakthrough, was published in 2011, and she is currently working on her next book, The Gutsy Move. And I'm sure she will give us some sneak peeks about that and share a little bit more about what she means by her gutsy mindset. So I don't want to take any more time. Vernice, FlyGirl Johnson, Armour, let's take it away.
I mean, I could be related to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson any day because he is absolutely amazing. And if he were watching this right now, I would say, okay, after COVID is over, can we like go 4-wheeling in trucks or like rock climbing or something? I don't know. And my cats are currently being carried out because they get rambunctious, especially when I'm on a call or something. I don't know how cats make so much noise, but they do. All right. Is it okay if I share a little personal thing first? Put it in the chat. Is it okay if I share a personal story first? This is a story. I don't know if I've ever really told it in public, but it is a flying story as well. So you're gonna love this. Thank you. I see all the yeses rolling in. Thank you. I could call out all the names: Diana, Laura, Jennifer, Tabitha, Julie, Kelly. I think we got a consensus. All right, so there I am, Pensacola, Florida. I had finished my training as a Marine. I'd gone through the basic school and I'm hardcore, lean, 143 pounds of gristle. I could do anything. And when I would go up with the instructors, you know, you go through your checklist. We were flying the T-34 turboprop, right? The Turbo Mentor. And we'd always go through the checklist. We'd do our pre-flight. We'd go out and it's very methodical. And some of the, it would be like summertime now, right? It's hot. I'm thinking, my God, can't we go through this checklist any faster? So it's time for my solo. And I am ready. I do my pre-flight, I'm walking around, I'm like, yeah, I got this. I get in the cockpit, and I went through that checklist in the absolute speed I always wanted to go through the checklist with the instructor, right? All right, I pull out of my parking spot, I get out to the runway, I do my radio calls, they tell me to hold short, to position and hold, cleared for takeoff, throttle goes forward, I release off the brakes, my head goes back, turbo winter, I take off, I rotate, I am now in the air. This is amazing. I climb up to 100 feet, or was it 500 feet? 500 feet, 100 knots, those were our course rules, right? And I'm just looking around thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. Wait a minute, it's so quiet. It's never this quiet. What? And I look down in the cockpit. None of the instruments are working. The radio is dead. Oh my God, it's my first in-flight emergency on my very first solo. Oh, this is crazy. So I'm like, I actually started to panic. I will readily admit, I started to panic a little bit, and I'm looking around and I was like, oh wait, first thing we're taught to do is what? Break out the checklist. You break out your emergency procedures. My knee board's down here to kind of flip to the side a little bit. I pull it back up on the top of my leg, and I look down. The knee board had accidentally turned off the master control switch, which yes, it controls all the avionics and the radio. I turn on the switch, and I hear 1, 2, 3 solo, 1, 2, 3 solo. Can you hear? Can you read? I was like, 1, 2, 3 solo here. Yep, I can read. I'm not sure what happened there, but everything is good. And I keep going. I know, Molly. Oh God, you have all these student naval aviators and flight, like there are tons of planes in the air, right? This is Pensacola, the cradle of aviation. And so long story short, I self-inflicted gunshot wound, as we would say. I created my own in-flight emergency. The question I would ask is, or thought in this moment is, when we run into those challenging times, what is the checklist that we fall back on? What's our immediate go-to to get things back in alignment? And sometimes we're coasting along and things are just nice and quiet and they seem so peaceful, and then it's like all hell breaks loose, right? And I think we are, as a world, as a global community, in one of those times. So I would like just to take this opportunity to ask the question, what's your biggest challenge right now, just in life? And that can have something to do with aviation, aerospace, if you're in the industry, or it can just be in your regular life. And I am going to be looking at the chat to see some of the questions. And Molly, Kelly, Carissa, you all can shout out some of the answers that come across, because I know it'll probably be going so fast. But what is your biggest challenge? And if it's an R, what are your biggest challenges? And they're plural, you could say the kids and blah, 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 whatever that is. But let's see.
So we're seeing a lot of sign of the times, right? The keeping my job, airline displacements, staying healthy.
While juggling being a mother and an 18-month-old toddler. Oh my gosh. I was going to say, I can't imagine, but yeah, my little fly baby, and maybe she'll make an appearance. She's 4.5 and 2 cats. But luckily my mom lives with me. Let's see, after 15 years of being on the road, finding myself home, video camera, 12 hours a day. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'll be honest, I miss the peace and quiet. Now that's so funny, because I would travel all the time for keynotes, right? Doing these presentations. And as soon as I left the house, got on the plane, I'm in my own place. I get in the hotel. I felt so at home in the hotel room as soon as that key went in, and boom, I set up my stuff. I felt like that guy in the movie, The Terminal. Well, not The Terminal. What was the other movie? The one where he would set up his hotel room every time. I can't remember the name of the movie right now off the bat, but I just felt like I lived in airports. hotels, the smell of jet fuel. I mean, it was amazing. And now home all the time. Yes, let's see, uncertainty in aspects of all aspects of life, keeping teammates motivated to perform to schedule. That's a big one. Projecting authority.
People having to finish their training and finish school.
Yeah. Yep. Training in school. Let's see. Paying for flight training feels like it's putting my personal life on hold. Wow.
And
now,
Deidre, deciding if I'm too old to pilot. No.
No. Yeah, you're never too old to pilot. Are you kidding me? Never. Let's see. Getting flight hours. Yep. Lack of upgrade and progress in the airlines, juggling, looking after my post-stroke father. Oh, my dad is actually in surgery right now. Yeah, we have so much going on. Being a good leader on my team, working on private license. And for those of you who are in corporate America and you do have teams, if you have some specific challenges, I know this isn't necessarily a corporate leadership talk, but I would love to answer any of those specific questions as well. If you don't want those questions to get lost in the fray, go ahead and click the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom, and you can put them in the Q&A tab, and I can actually make a little corporate minute or corporate moment, if you will, and answer some of those corporate team and leadership questions. All right. I'm going to address a couple of the challenges. Molly, Kelly, Carissa, and everybody. So, you know, this is the chat team. We're all going through this together, and they're helping highlight some of the questions, because I know I definitely won't see imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh. I definitely got to talk about that one. All right.
And time management.
Time management. So what did you see the most in the chat as it was scrolling through? And I can address that. I think
imposter syndrome is probably a great place to start.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. So it's so crazy because I launched a course. It's called, the promise statement on it is, I work with ambitious women. Ambitious, right? Being the key, because you're up to something, you want to do something, who are secretly struggling with bouts of insecurity and imposter syndrome, to discover the secrets of being gutsy and stepping out there and living an amazing, fulfilling, and fun life. But what is this imposter syndrome? It's where we feel like a fraud, where it's that verbiage running through our head of, if people only knew how much I don't have my stuff together, all the stuff I don't know, that I'm really not qualified to be in this position, but they have. Folks, I mean, have we all heard of leadership potential? Like, even CEOs, there is still untapped potential that they haven't tapped into yet. Think of all the leadership instinct that leaders, senior leaders, are having to tap into at this unprecedented time with COVID, social justice, and the economy, right? All three of those things, it is the perfect storm happening right now. There are tons of challenges that our leaders have never faced before, that it would have been potential inside of them, and now they're having to actualize it. So for this whole thing with imposter syndrome, where we feel like imposters, this woman, I'm gonna have to find out who said this quote, because it was amazing. Fake it till you become it. Let that sink in for a second. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, that's not the quote. It's fake it till you make it. But no, she was very on purpose. Fake it until you become it. What does that mean? It means embody who you are, who you want to be, where you are, and where you want to go. As a rookie cop, when I was fresh out of the academy, and my training officer said, all right, I want you to go arrest that man right there. It was going to be my very first arrest. And it was a drunk, disorderly guy, and he was big. I couldn't just go up to him and say, excuse me, could you turn around and put your hands behind your back, please? No, I had to go, turn around, put your hands behind your back. That's not how I usually talk. That's not how I usually felt. And in that moment, that's who I had to embody. And I know I saw somebody else put authority in the chat. How do we embody that command presence is what we call it in the police force and in the military, right? Potential is just that. We have the potential. And when that moment comes, we activate that potential and make it a reality. But if we're not, if we're not even in the position in the first place to activate the potential, we can't even do it. Now, what do I mean when I say if we're not even in the position in the first place? Well, let's say a position comes open for promotion and it has 10 prerequisites, 10 requirements that you have to have. A woman looks at it and she's like, oh, I have 9.5. I'm not qualified. A guy's like, I got half one. I'm going for it. Like, what? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have everything. Perfect example. One of my buds, she used to live here in Atlanta. She's in the movie industry. I mean, this woman has stepped out on faith and done some crazy, amazing things, right? And now she's in California. A position came open at this company that she would have loved to have worked for. And one of the women said, put in for this position. I've already put your name out there. You need to go fill out the app. She fills out the app. She ends up getting hired, long story short. And we were just having this conversation, I promise you, 2 weeks ago. She says, V, because all my friends call me V, right? V, because it's cool. Feel free to call me V. She said, V, when I looked at that job position, it scared the crap out of me. I never would have applied for that because I felt I was totally not qualified. She said, and I can't believe I actually got, out of all the people they interviewed, I got the job. She had taken herself out of it before it even started, only because of someone else believing in her. And that's a key thing, right? Sometimes we need someone to believe in us while we work up believing in ourselves. You're more than enough. You're strong enough. You're smart enough. And like, because we have all these syndromes. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not the best mom enough. Yes, you are. Does that mean that we can't get better, that we can't evolve, that we can't grow? No, sure we can. There's always room to grow. And where you are right now is absolutely where you're supposed to be, and it is more than enough. A lot of people don't know I was bullied as a kid. I was totally bullied as a kid. When I was young, I grew up in an all-white neighborhood. I was the only, we were the only Black kids on the street. And that was a little different, but we didn't know any different. I was 5, 6, 7 years old. You don't really know any different. That's all I've really experienced. Then we moved across the country to Memphis, Tennessee, and it was an all Black neighborhood, Orange Mound in Memphis. If I got any Orange Mound or Memphis people out there, throw it in the chat, I'll check it out. And there were only 6 white kids in the entire school. So very different. And I was already speaking, right? I had an accent, I had long hair, we had horses. I was obviously different, just I guess in my mannerisms and the way I spoke. And kids who are gonna be kids picked up on that. And they're like, oh, you think you're white, or oh, you think you're better than us, or and I just got picked on and bullied, and it was horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I completely felt like an outsider. Even being Black with other Black people, completely felt like an outsider, like I didn't belong, and they showed me I didn't belong. 7th and 8th grade, I was still quirky, I was still different. I was in the band. In high school, still quirky, still different, in the band, softball, sat on the bench in basketball, played the trombone at this point. I started out playing the flute. Wasn't necessarily bullied anymore. Actually, that's not true. There were these 2 women in high school. It was crazy. I kind of avoided them all the time. But I was to my point, I avoided them all the time. I was conflict avoidant. I avoided the conflict. Now, fast forward just a couple of years, and here I am as a police officer. There is no avoiding conflict. I'm running to the conflict. Fast forward as a soldier, because I enlisted in the Army. Fast forward as a Marine, going through officer candidate school, then flight school. And in the Marine Corps, like you're going up against I shouldn't say battles and struggles, but as a Marine, you are put in positions where you are forced to grow and forced to evolve, where my confidence level grew with each step. So I know some of us are dealing with confidence, and are we putting ourselves in the position, not saying you have to go out and join the Marine Corps, because you don't join the Marine Corps, you become a Marine, right? And how do we put ourselves in experiences where we can grow our confidence? And that's, you know, some of the stuff that I do work with people with in the course, but I'm going to give you a couple bullets here. And I don't know why I didn't think imposter syndrome would come up, but of course it would. It always comes up. So number one, are you giving yourself an opportunity to reach outside of your comfort zone every day? The thing you would always say no to. Think about saying yes. And the reason you're saying no, if it's scaring you, then definitely find one of those scary things to say yes to. I have a friend that we're working through some of this exact same stuff. And I'll ask her a question or say, hey, let's do it. She's like, oh, no. I'm like, why not? I was like, this is it. This is that moment, right? And I've actually termed it the gutsy move for some, in your gut, you know it's right. It takes guts to do it, but you got to take action. If you don't take action, it wasn't a gutsy move. It was just a gutsy thought. That's right. In your gut, you know it's right, and it takes guts to do it. Folks, that's your gutsy move. And it's not a haphazard risk. It's very calculated, right? But it's not something you have to think about forever. It does take some thought, but in your gut, at the end of the day, in your gut, you know it's the move for you. So I'm going to ask this question right now. What is a gutsy move that you know is waiting for you? It's just waiting for you to take action, but you're scared. You're procrastinating on it. You keep saying you're going to do it, but you're not making the move. Go ahead, throw it in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and look over at the Q&A for some of the corporate questions here. Let's see, dealing with retirement. How do you handle uncertainty?
There are a lot of uncertainty questions in the chat too. So especially in this time, maybe we want to talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay, good. Unable to complete all the work. What's your approach? Let's see, dealing with personal issues. Yeah.
And
definitely.
As a female and a first, what's your most significant barrier in your career and how did you overcome it? That's a good one.
Okay, as a female and a first, what was my most significant challenge and how did I overcome it? All right, and a lot of folks, I see starting my own business, career change, senior, pursuing IFR rating, taking the next step, getting private, trusting myself enough to step out, upcoming senior year, yeah. Change your career, start flight training, accepting executive marketing position that I have little experience that was offered to me. Oh my gosh, better take that. Right into the next level. Definitely doing that first solo. That's awesome. All right. A lot of comments about uncertain times, and these are uncertain and definitely unprecedented times. So I am just going to share my personal experience with this moment. This is very personal and it was very deep. So, well, you haven't seen my daughter yet. Maybe I'll call her in at the end where you all can see her. But she's 4.5. I'd always wanted a little person. I went through IVF as a single woman out here, as an entrepreneur, had my little fly baby, right? I'm FlyGirl, she's Fly Baby. Things were amazing. And as she was growing up, I said, you know, I wanted to spend less time on the road. Now I have my mom, I have a nanny. I was married for a very short time. Now, recently divorced during that phase as well. So there was a support network, but it is drastically shifted, especially as a single parent. I wanted to be home a whole lot more. So I said only 3 keynotes a month versus 7, 8, 9, right? That's a huge difference. And I wanted to get things set up virtually for virtual presentations like this, online learning, training, consulting. Then boom, COVID hits. And yeah, that was pretty much my life right there. Probably like a whole lot of you, not a whole lot going on. And as an entrepreneur, right now, corporate America folks, you guys transitioned home. Zoom started picking up, and now it's pretty much death by Zoom in front of your computer on a screen, sun up to sundown. I know it almost feels relentless. But for me, because my life, my work was being with groups of large people, it came to a halt overnight. Events canceled as far as the eye can see. And I remember sitting on my deck. Let me show you my deck right out there. There's my deck, right? Trees, nature. It was amazing. But I was devastated. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And I said, okay, I need to reconnect to my why, to my goals, to what I want to accomplish. I realized that I'd accomplished much of what I'd set out to do when I first started my company. Outside of being independently wealthy or rich and household name, hadn't achieved that yet, but everything else was pretty much there. So I said, all right, come up with my new whys. So I took my journal, I'm walking around the lake, I'm writing in the journal, and I was like, all right, what's next? Well, I got to figure out how do I get there? How do I do this? And the how wasn't coming to me. I got a little frustrated. And this is after days, right, of walking, meditating, sitting on my deck, just saying, okay, just think about it, be in it. And let me throw this one thing out there. I didn't want to just rush to do something, just slap something out there. I mean, when I said I was journaling and walking and meditating, because I was really searching for my purpose on the planet even more. I 100% feel like I'm walking my purpose on the planet, but I was looking for that deeper connection of, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? Because things have changed, things are uncertain. I'm not bringing any money into my bank account. I still have people on the payroll. How long is the money that I have now? How long is that going to last? The PPP was happening. I was having challenges with that. Luckily, I did get that and some of the other government programming. But let me throw this out there. Over 90% of Black women-owned businesses didn't get the PPP loan. It's crazy. So a lot of people out here are struggling, right? And then I watched George Floyd take his last breath. And I said, holy crap. And as a police officer that has worked for 2 police departments, the Nashville Police Department and the Tempe Police Department, right outside of Borders, Phoenix, Arizona, I said, holy crap. This is crazy. It's horrible. What do we as a country do? The country's rioting. And I was like, I've never used my platform for political issues. And in that moment, I had to stop because I said, but this is not a political issue. This is about humanity. And there I was, me, Vernice, sitting, looking at the trees, wondering, what do I do? What do I do? Former cop, former soldier, National Guardsman, the people keeping peace out on our streets, Marine, combat. I've been in combat, for goodness sake. A diversity officer for Headquarters Marine Corps, liaison to the Pentagon. I was on a committee that created diversity policy for all of the services, and an openly gay Black woman. Think about that, folks. Tie all those dots together. That's me. And here I was sitting on my porch thinking, what do I do? What do I say? And I knew in that moment, if I wasn't clear about what to do or say, what about people that didn't have like half the dots or any of those dots, right? Like the suburban white mom that lives next door to me that is like, Vernice, oh my God, what do we do? And I knew I had to use my voice along with everyone else using their voice, right? And that was, it really was a gutsy move for me in that moment, because I hadn't ever used my business platform in this way, but I knew this thing, it was about gutsy leadership and just gutsy us as people coming together. I even told my white friends, and it's crazy we even say that now, white friends, talk to your white friends. All my white friends, talk to your white friends. We have to do something about this moment. And it's not about how people are saying, well, it's not Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. Black lives do matter, but all lives matter. And I said, yes, absolutely. All lives matter. And we just want Black lives to matter as much, right? When I'm at a breast cancer march, all cancer matters. But we don't have people up with signs saying, but what about lung cancer? What about pancreatic cancer? What about colon cancer? We're there in that moment to bring awareness to breast cancer, to raise money for breast cancer. And for those of you who might be battling with or struggling with, okay, why is everybody saying Black Lives Matter when all lives matter? If there's anything that I could do in this moment to bring just that view of Black Lives Matter from that perspective of one, like that's the minimum, that we matter the same as everyone else. And, you know, of course, I've had my own experiences when my sister and I went into Radio Shack. It was the winter, it was hailing and sleeting, and we had on these big heavy coats, and we go in and the store associate comes over and says, excuse me, I'm gonna have to ask you to take your coats off. I'm like, okay, I start taking my coat off. My sister's like, no, keep your coat on. Why do you need to take our coats off? So, ma'am, we just need to ask you to take your coats off. You're gonna stay in the store. Well, all these other people, they have their coats on. You're not asking them to take their coats off. Ma'am, it's store policy. If you don't take your coats off, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And as we walked out, so why did he, and mind you, I'm 11 or 12 years old. I'm a kid. I said, why did he want us to take our coats off? Well, we weren't gonna steal anything. The sister said, it doesn't matter. My dad teaching me how to drive, I was 16 years old. He said, pull over. I'm gonna ask you the most important question. It's not gonna be on the test, but you better know the answer. I said, all right. He said, what do you do if you get pulled over by the police? Hands visible, 10 and 2. That's right. But Dad, what if I didn't do anything wrong? It doesn't matter. Folks, it does matter. And yes, all of our lives matter, and Black lives matter. And let me just let that sink in for a moment. Because as a kid, I was dealing with that. Along with the being bullied thing, along with the being different thing, and then growing up to be a police officer on the streets, wanting to make a difference. And I would go to the tough neighborhoods. Why the tough neighborhoods? Because I knew I'd find warrants and drugs, and I'd crack down on crime. I would show a police presence. And let's be honest, what were the tough neighborhoods? They were the Black neighborhoods. That's right. I was over policing my own people, saying I was being tough on crime. So in these uncertain times, which they absolutely are, and in the comments, you know, I see career change, taking the next step, trusting myself enough to step out, another career change, starting flight training, accepting executive position. Folks, number one, sit down with yourself. Think about, what do you really want? What do you really want? And on one side, you can go for it, and on the other side, you cannot. Now, we all know the little cliche, 100% of shots not taken are missed, 100%. And when we think, well, what if I do, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, I'm gonna ask you to make a list. This is gonna be one of your homework assignments. Make a list of what are all the things that could happen if you do it, right? Good and bad. But what I really want you to focus on is the list of, but what if you don't? What's at stake? What are you risking? What are you just throwing away if you don't? What are all the amazing things you could be doing? What's the why you want to achieve your goals? You want to take that next step. And if you don't, what are you leaving out there? What are you leaving undone? That's a deep one for a lot of folks. And many people haven't thought of it from that angle. But that's probably the most important part. Why we're doing it is important, especially for some of the unseens of what you want the outcomes on the other side. So I really want you to think about that. All right, something just popped up here. All right, are you a Woman in Aviation International member? Yes,
Yeah,
no.
that's just our internal poll. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. That was a good transition. Very subtle hint. Very subtle, very subtle, very subtle. All right, how did you hear about this WAI Connect breakfast? Okay, gotcha. After you close out this poll, let's go ahead and do the other polling questions as well.
Okay, I can do that.
Let's see.
In the interim, there were a bunch of questions about uncertainty and leadership in this weird time over virtual elements, WebEx.
Yeah.
That.
All right, let me hop over to the corporate Q&A because I think some of that was over there.
Yep.
Okay, and Molly asked your question. You said there was a lot about uncertainty, and what about the virtual part?
So it looks like a lot of people are wrestling with challenges in management virtually, you know, via Zoom and, you know, HR issues via WebEx and managing teams virtually and time management, things like that in this weird time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask folks that are struggling with that, put a little bit more detail in while I'm sharing this answer. Because say leading a team virtually can have several different elements to it. Is it just the leadership itself, people listening to you authority wise, or is it hard to manage just because you have so many direct reports and following people's workflow or accountability? Are people actually working 8 hours? You know, things. So what specifically in the managing virtually, or is it all of it? One of my friends actually wrote virtual teams for dummies. So of course her life is just blew up when COVID hit. There are a lot of aspects to that. All right, and it says hosts and panelists can't vote. I was trying to fill it in. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I just launched the second poll. So your questions 1 through 4 are now out.
Great. Are you looking for a job in the aerospace aviation industry? And I think quite a few people were piping up in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, how gutsy do you feel? I love that. Super duper gutsy. And do you want to be gutsier? I couldn't decide if it was more gutsy or gutsier. So somebody can give me a hint on that one in the chat. All right, I look forward to getting those answers. All right, so for the virtual environment, let me back up. Yes, we've transitioned to virtual environment. And there are some things that we did in the office that just do not work in the virtual environment. Wanting to see somebody in front of their computer all the time, like to make sure, you know, it doesn't say they're away from their computer. Folks, the micromanaging, now some people might need micromanaging, but as a leader, I shouldn't say but, and as a leader, how are we finding other ways, which is what I think people are asking me about here, to manage their folks outside of it shows you're inactive on your computer? And I mean, because what if somebody has papers and they're looking at it and they're working on some stuff, but they're not actively typing on their computer? So what can we do in this virtual and distant workforce? Number one, yes, we can have our meetings. We can do them in Zoom. They can have their agendas. They don't have to be forever. Everything doesn't have to be a Zoom meeting. I mean, there are calls that I have now that they just used to be phone calls that are now video Zoom calls, all because we're in this new virtual environment. Some things can still be handled on the phone or still be handled via email. What I do love about Zoom and the video calls, though, is it gives more of a connection where we can see each other, be here, talk, but it doesn't have to be the same as it was in the office. Try to make the meeting shorter, get in, get out. And what we can do outside of the meetings, you know, have one-on-ones with our folks. Let's check in on them, not just all the time on the phone, talking about our challenges or what's going on or the work. Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Just want to check in on you and your family. How are you dealing with COVID? Has anyone been sick? Do you need anything? Is there any support that I can give you that you don't feel like you're currently receiving? I mean, just that simple of a check-in with your folks makes a huge difference, because at the end of the day, we're all people. My grandmother passed away a couple months ago. Found out the woman that was coming there to take care of her had COVID. My dad, a couple days ago, wasn't feeling all great. He had tripped a couple of times, so he was pulling up the carpets because they have tile floor. They're down in Florida, right outside of Orlando, in the Villages. Anybody down there? And he was pulling up the carpets, and as he was doing that, he fell, and yes, broke his hip, and is now in the hospital. The reason he was feeling woozy and lethargic, well, he had an infection. He was fighting going to the hospital, couldn't get the surgery immediately because he had the infection, so they had to clear that up. And actually this morning, he is in surgery for the partial hip replacement. People have things going on in their lives. Are we checking in on our people? That's all I'm saying. During this time of social distancing, and I really just say physical distancing, we need to be socially connected more than ever. So are we really making true, genuine connections versus just a check in the box, check in? And that would be my encouraging guidance. Let's see, let's check out the poll questions, then just go into a Q&A session. We have 13 minutes left. And where do I see the results of the poll?
I don't know the answer to that. I can help. So over 57% of our respondents have over 10 years of experience in the aviation field. And then the next biggest group is 0 to 2 years. So you've got a pretty good distribution at the, over 10 and under 2. Interesting. 67% are not looking for a job. And in the how gutsy do you feel category, most respondents are in the 6 and 7 level range. So coming up to super duper gutsy, but not quite there. And
Right.
Everybody, 90%, want a boost in their gutsy level.
How many?
90%.
Wow, that's amazing. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for all your prayers in the chat for my family. I absolutely appreciate you for that, much needed. And there are probably quite a few families out there. There's the polling.
Sorry.
Quite a few families out there that need those prayers. So if we could just, pray for each other and hold each other in our thoughts, that will go a long way. All right, and I think everyone can see this, right? Host is sharing polling results. If you can see the polling results, put yes in the chat. Okay, great. All right, 0 to 2, 23%, 3 to 5, 6 to 10. Wow, that is so deep. So people are either 10 plus or just getting in, but it's so interesting, right? So this is another one of those times after 2008, 2007, 2001, with 9/11, 2007, 8, the recession, and then this. The folks that were in the middle, if you don't have a lot of seniority and you got furloughed, during that furlough time, a lot of folks would go and get a different job, which is so deep right now with the polling results. That's interesting. Did you think you all were going to see that? Or did you already know that?
Are you talking about WAI or everybody?
From WAI perspective, did you know that there was kind of a gap in the middle like that?
So interesting thing about our membership is it's our average member is 30 something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so that tells us that we're a pretty young group.
Absolutely.
But we have a lot of people in all phases of their career. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we're surprised by this. We have a lot of people who have established careers, and we have a lot of people who are just getting started. And then a big group somewhere in the middle where we're, climbing still. So.
Right. No, it's awesome. Okay, let's see. Are you looking for a job? 33% yes. So 1 out of every 3 people looking for a job. Network. Talk to people. I know it's tough right now, but organizations are absolutely looking for specialized skill sets. And if you are looking for a job and are open to jobs, especially in STEM, of course, aviation is one of those. And I'm acutely aware that not everybody is an aviation professional. There are a lot of aviation enthusiasts that are part of Women in Aviation as well. But what are some, LinkedIn has some learning out there. Microsoft is doing a big push, helping people get certified with the technical skills to be able to get some of the jobs that they have shortages in. They're waiting for people to get qualified. So they actually have free training to get people certified with free certifications. And if anybody has information on that, put it in the chat for other people to see it. Or if you have any networking opportunities for folks, or that there are some different jobs or opportunities available, put that in the chat for people to check out as well. It's desperately needed. Let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, how gutsy are you? We got a 7, I love it. And 90% want a gutsy boost. I love that. So let me just throw a plug out there for the training I'm doing. Why? Because I absolutely love it. I love helping women boost their confidence, feel gutsy and courageous. So you can go to the gutsyconfidenceproject.com, Gutsy, Gutsy, confidenceproject.com. That's a course that I am doing, helping and working with women on their gutsiness. Or you can always email me, FlyGirl at, I know I'm getting ready to give my email address to like 1,000 people, but FlyGirl at vernicearmour.com. But I'm just that kind of person. I'm personable. I don't just talk about this stuff. I really believe in the true, authentic connection and how do we help each other and how are we in service to each other. So when I give my email address, flygirl at vernicearmour.com, ARMOUR, just like Under Armour, this is a very sincere invitation to connect. And definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I think I'm even on TikTok, right? Can you believe it? So connect with me on those social media platforms, LinkedIn for, our corporate folks out there. So let's answer a few questions. I'm going to close out that poll. Let's go, and I'm going to leave the chat for the job resources. And if for specific questions right now, let's put your questions in the Q&A tab. Is that cool, team?
Yeah, that's great. There was a great question about how to overcome conflict and approaches to overcome conflict.
All right. So I'm going to give you a 5-step process. These are 5 steps on how I work through everything. All right. Number 1, create your flight plan. Where are you? Where do you want to be? I told you like my little journey, right? I knew I needed to create a new flight plan. So when you're facing conflict, where are you? Where do you want to be? Number 2, got to do the pre-flight. We need to check things out. What are the pros and the cons? How do we mitigate the risks? Now, here's a direct order from the Marine. Do not think about the how when you're creating your flight plan. Only think about what you want, where you want to be. As soon as you start thinking about the how, you start boiling the dream down. Do not do that. Just all the way, brainstorm, dream, vision, have the guts to really admit and put on paper exactly what you want. Even if you don't know how you're going to get there, all right? Direct order. Then pre-flight, mitigate the risks, look at the pros and cons. Then step 3, take off. Think of the shuttle. lifting off. The smoke starts billowing, and within seconds, you know that shuttle has left our planet. And within moments, it is in phase 4, execution mode, navigating the challenges and obstacles. We are always going to have challenges and obstacles. We are always going to have conflict in our life. How we navigate. It's not about sticking our head in the sand. Acknowledge the obstacles. Don't give them power. That's my one little quote right there. And I lived by it. I still do. Acknowledge the obstacles. Don't give them power. So that's step 4, execution phase. Then you move into step 5, where we review, recharge, reattack. Review our successes and our failures. Recharge emotionally, physically, intellectually. Emotionally, are you taking a Saturday off? Intellectually, that's why we're here, sharing this moment. We're doing our seminars and our Zooms, and you're getting your education and your information from different places. Stephen Covey would say, sharpening the saw. Emotionally, physically, intellectually, and physically. Are you drinking water? Are you eating? I mean, a lot of us are in our homes a lot more than we were. Are you taking care of your body? And then the last part, review, recharge, and what was the last word? Anybody remember? Throw it in the chat if you remember. What was the very last word of this whole process? Yes! Attack! Reattack, baby! Why is that my favorite? Because it has the word attack in it. And as an attack helicopter pilot that flew the AH-1 Whiskey Super Cobra attack helicopter, it's very personal. So, attack, but it's specifically re-attack. Why? Because folks, there are only 2 ways to succeed. Period, end of story. Period. How many of you agree with me? There are only 2 ways to succeed. And even if when I ask this live, usually no one, maybe 2 or 3 brave souls agree with me, then 2 or 3 people disagree. I'm like, what? The first time, or again. Or again, or again, or again, or again, or again. However many agains it takes, but that's it. You either do it the first time or on the again. That's it. So there are only 2 ways. So the secret sauce is in the reattack, folks. It took me 4 years to get into the Marine Corps and to get accepted to flight school. Women could only apply once a year. The first year they didn't take me. They didn't say why. The second year they didn't take me. The third year they couldn't take me on a technicality because I was on the police force. I hadn't graduated from college and I wasn't fully enrolled in school. And then the 4th year, over 80% of people do not apply after applying the first time and not getting in. After the 4th year, and I first started applying, I think in 1994, 94. The 4th year, I think the Marine Corps said, okay, this chick's not going away. Come on, right? And now, Dakowitz, which is the committee that was over women in combat arms in the military, had just made it allowable for women to fly in combat in 93. I applied in 94. So who knows if there could have been political stuff around it or whatever with the Marine Corps. I don't know. But the first woman, period, did not become a pilot in the Marine Corps until 1995. Her name was Sarah Deal. So even back then, I was going up against the grain and a lot of challenges that I didn't even know or recognize. And if we don't keep going, we're never going to get there, right? If we don't keep going, we're just not going to get there. You don't fail until you give up. Period, end of story. It's not a failure until you give up. So how do we keep going even when it feels like, sometimes you can feel like your spirit is crushed or you're tired, and just like in weight training, that's the moment where the real work is creating the growth. It's in those tough moments and these silent times of sitting on your deck at home where the real growth is happening. We're all growing right now. And any pain you feel, just know it's growing pains. WAI team, what do we want to end on? I know we have like 40 seconds left or something.
Well, we just want to say we are thrilled that you joined us this morning, because over 450 people joined us this morning, and the constant chatter was, thank you, Vernice. They all needed to hear this and be inspired. They see you as brave and inspiring. And we want to thank Avemco and United Airlines, our sponsors, for helping us host this event today, Again, Vernice, FlyGirl, Armour, thanks for inspiring so many people.
Can I
all
ask
around
a quick
campus.
question? Because I know folks are jumping off. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kelly, but I did mean to interrupt you.
Absolutely.
Are you all allowed to do a bonus session at all?
We
Because I have a
absolutely.
little time. I can spend 15 minutes and it's going to be strictly Q&A. Everybody who already jumped off, they already jumped off. It was about 20 people. But if you would like to, I know officially we have ended. And if you need to go to your next meeting, I totally get it. And if you want to stay, and I will do sound bites and I will answer questions, strictly just answer questions, stay for another 15 minutes. I would be more than willing and would love to do that.
Thank you.
All right. So we're all on board for that?
Yep.
So here's one. This is an interesting corporate question from Sherry. How do you get everyone to behave responsibly when returning to the office during the pandemic?
Behave responsibly. If I read between the lines, that means wear the mask, social distance, hand sanitize. You know, I honestly don't know the answer on how we make someone do that because it's hard. I mean, we don't even know people washing their hands when they walk out of the bathroom now, right? Or in the past. But what we can do is keep asking folks. And the best thing we can do is empower our teams to monitor and police each other. So if one person is doing something, if everyone else just is complicit or silent and they don't say anything, the person's going to keep doing the behavior. But if most people speak up and say something, that person's probably going to change their behavior after people say something and say something and say something. Because bullies, that's how bullies work. When people don't say anything, when they don't stand up, they keep bullying. When people stand up together, they can't keep bullying anymore. So that would be my answer. Next question.
Can I chime in, Kelly?
Oh, sure.
I just read one I like. It's from Christine. We often talk about how to lead others. How do you lead yourself, especially when your own ego is the thing in your way?
Okay, such a great question. How do I lead myself? And then you added, especially when the ego is in the way. So this is going to be a little woo-woo and fluffy, but there's ego and there's soul, and they are both a part of us. And the ego is the part of us that wants us to put on clothes when we walk out the house, that wants to make sure that we're taken care of and our family's taken care of, that the mortgage is paid, that if we were to fall and we trip on the sidewalk, what's the first thing we do? We look around, who saw us? Like, that's our ego taking care of us, right? The ego, we need our ego. Our ego does take care of us in that fashion. It's when we have too much of the ego in the way that things start getting skewed. So from a self-leadership perspective, are we taking out time to think? Are we taking out time to reflect? And with life being so busy, we got kids, we got home, we got work, there is no such thing as work-life balance. There never has been. 5 days out of the 7, our work, it will never be balanced. But there is work-life integration. And I even heard one woman say work-life harmony. And I love that, right? So how is it flowing together? But leading ourselves, to go back to that, again, what do we really want? And what are we willing to do to create the outcome? It takes a lot to not be distracted by all the outside things and to really tune in and be intentional about your life. How are you being intentional? So I'll give a quick blurb on that. Create categories for your life. Income, how much money you're bringing in. Money, how much you have in the bank. Health, what does your health look like? What do you want it to be? I want to be able to run 3 miles in less than 30 minutes. Blood pressure 120/70 or somewhere in that range. I don't want to be breathing hard when I walk up a flight of steps. I want to weigh 165 pounds, not because it's a great number, but because I know that's where my body feels good and I look good in my clothes, and I want to look and feel sexy when I look in the mirror. That's my whole thing of healthy. It's not just I want to feel healthy. Well, what does that look like? I don't know. Got to get specific about what you really want in life, right? Then you can have a category on family, category on spirituality and religion, a category on friendship, a category on relationship with your spouse. And when you look at all these different areas of your life, you are leading the charge on that. And do you have time set aside on your calendar, even if it's just 30 minutes a day, to work on your goals? A meeting that's with you, that you hold sacred, and with no one else. All right, next question.
This one's from Lindsay. Have you faced opposition or adversity as an influencer and public figure from other women trying to tear you down?
Of course. I mean, other women, other men, probably some kids out there too. I don't know. But I mean, even Einstein faced criticism. And not that I'm gonna put myself there with Einstein, but everybody said he was crazy and he didn't even know what he was talking about. Einstein. So people, when you have a dream, it's your dream. Don't expect other people to understand a gift and enlightenment and an insight that you have been given that's meant for you to bring to the world. I mean, even Dr. King, he was on the FBI's most threatening people's list back when he was alive. And is that mine? Yeah, mine. And now there's a monument of him on the National Mall. But it started out on the FBI's most dangerous people list. Pioneers are gonna get arrows in their back. When you're in the Wild West and you're a pioneer, you're gonna get arrows in your back. You just have to keep going. Next question. Acknowledge the obstacles, give them power.
Yeah, Carly asked, what is the best way to inspire youth to pursue aviation and STEM careers?
Oh, expose them to it. They have to be exposed. They have to be exposed. So example, this isn't about aviation, but it's my daughter. And I want her to love to cook. So I turned on Junior Chef. I don't know where she got the word boring from. She got it from school somewhere. She's like, Mommy, this is boring. I was like, okay, we're gonna watch this for 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I couldn't pull her away from that TV. She was all enthralled with the cooking and what they were doing because she was watching kids doing what she wanted to do. So if we can get kids around other kids, even if it's virtually in this moment, or take them out for a discovery flight. But you know, it's in the cockpit, it's closed and COVID. So some things will have to be post-COVID, but how are we getting the exposure? I do the same thing with golf. I am obsessed and I love golf. I got her own golf clubs and I will putt around the house, and now she loves to putt and she loves to go to the driving range with me. So it truly, truly is about access and exposure. When I was in college, when I first got there, I wanted nothing to do with aviation, nothing. My battle buddy was on an aviation contract, and during career day, we went to the aviation tent. I saw a Black woman in a flight suit, and I was like, whoa. Now, I've been flying since I was 6, unaccompanied minor on commercial aircraft. Right or wrong, good or bad, I just hadn't ever seen anyone like me, Black person, and I really did say, you know, this is so horrible. Black people don't fly. Which is so not true. Tuskegee Airmen, Bessie Coleman, Willa Brown, the legacy is long and large, but it really does boil down to access and exposure. And that's why I'm here today, sharing this breath, this message, this moment with you, because someone exposed me to aviation. And that's why I'm here. So huge shout out for access and exposure. Next question.
We do have a gentleman that's asking, he says, what role do men have in encouraging girls and young women into aviation careers?
This is awesome. They have the same exact role. And it's not about whether you're a man or a woman doing the exposure. It's both, all, everyone. Even in the, I talked about the Black Lives Matter. I mean, we all have a role in everything, and we need allies. Women in corporate America, we have the employee resource groups or the business resource groups. We need allies for all. We need support. We all need to come together. And as far as men giving exposure to young girls and women, men are in the position in these aviation companies that when a position comes open and they say, what about Tom? Oh yeah, he's great, blah, blah, blah. What about Steve? Oh yeah, blah, blah. What about Amy? Amy. Anybody know Amy? All right. What about Terry? We need you as allies to be pounding the table for us to help get us in the places where we aren't yet. Boom. Okay. Next question.
So Zoe's asking, she's only 16. She plans on taking her check ride for her private within the next month.
Awesome.
But she's found that there aren't a ton of people around her age who are in a similar field, and she's not sure where to go from receiving her private. She's already graduated from high school, and she's not sure what her next steps to be. What should be my mindset at this time, she's asking you.
So, and to be clear, her question is she's not sure what to do or where to go after receiving her private pilot's license?
She should, yeah, exactly. And she's asking you, what should her mindset be at this time?
Okay, well, your mindset, I won't say should because I don't should on people, but I would encourage your mindset to be willing to do anything and go over whatever mountain or hill or challenge that it takes to get to where you want to be. But the question is, oh my God, this is so amazing. You're 16, you've gotten your private pilot's license, and you can do anything. So my question for you would be, what do you want to do? And then reach out to the people, even on social media. I mean, even me, the women on this who are running this, WAI, we will help you make the connection to get you to wherever you want to go. The question is, what do you want to do? That's the real question. So that would be your charge. I would charge you to, number one, what do you want to do in aviation? What kind of pilot do you want to be? Do you want to be military? Do you want to be commercial? Like, really, what do you want to do? Then I won't say we can create the roadmap, but we could create the flight plan to get you to that goal. So your mindset is you just got to be willing. Are you willing to make the moves and make the gutsy moves and have the grit, the tenacity, the resilience to not give up even when you run into challenges? And then you could do anything. Absolutely, I believe in you. And I absolutely want you to send me an email, flygirl@vernicearmour.com, so we can connect and we can have a conversation. And I want to make sure I can help you in any way I can. All right, next question.
So I'm thinking time-wise, we might need to wrap up, Vernice, but I did want to ask you a favor. Can you, maybe introduce your daughter to us?
Oh, Noah!
And so many people are asking, Vernice, when is the Gutsy Move book going to be out?
I don't know. That's my gutsy move. I'm working on it. Actually, I need to call my literary agent because COVID has messed up so much stuff. Come here. Fly big girl. She says she's not fly baby anymore. She's fly big girl. Come here, babe. Come here. Hurry, we gotta go. Or you're not gonna be able to do it. Oh my goodness, you wanna show them your unicorns? Yeah, come here. Come on.
Oh, you.
Oh, love it.
She got all dressed up to meet you guys. Can you tell? So
Awesome.
you want to say?
I love how the dress coordinates with the headband.
Very fashionable.
And the unicorn socks.
Oh yeah,
Unicorn socks, of course.
That's the best.
Wow.
Love it.
That's the best. Very important to coordinate your socks with your
Full
headband.
unicorn moment.
Oh God. And do you love golf? You do? What's your best thing? What's your favorite part about golf?
All of it.
And are you a pilot? Are you a fly girl? You gonna be a pilot when you grow up? You gonna go flying with mommy? Do you want to fly attack helicopters or something a little more chill? Okay. She wants to ride a motorcycle. My motorcycle's out front too, so. All right. Well, you know, it has truly been a pleasure sharing with you all. I look forward to hearing from everyone. Again, connect with me on social media. WAI and all our sponsors, thank you for having me. This has been fun. It's been awesome. Thank you for all the engagement in the chat, everyone from everywhere around the globe. And I look forward to answering some questions afterwards and maybe posting them on the WAI page. So make sure you stay tuned in with the WAI crew and with Facebook, and we will stay connected. All right, I promise, for real. I mean
Thank
it.
you, Vernice.
Thank you so much for
Right.
taking your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay gutsy.
Bye.